TGR.
Hey everybody, it's your boy Onyx. Ka-chow. A little slow today, a little slow Sunday. And on the other end, we've got.
It's Rudy. What is up, man? How are you?
I'm doing well. We're, finally getting to a podcast. I don't remember the last time we did an actual, honest to God podcast. It's been a while, but
Yeah,
today's a
man.
special day. Tell me why it's special, Rudy.
Well, we have the amazingly awesome Robin, who was our second ever patron back in, I think it was E3 of last year, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, what's up, Robin? How are you, man?
I'm good. Well, good morning to you guys and good afternoon to everyone else from far Netherlands.
Oh,
Netherlands.
I'm doing great.
You gotta love that, man. I'm happy to hear you. I'm happy to have you on our podcast today. And honestly, it makes me happy that we, when we started this was just, a bunch of friends just getting together and, recording reactions and our thoughts and things like that on video games. And the fact that we're able to connect to people in the Netherlands, in Australia, right? Like, it blows my mind. It's such a good feeling to be able to just talk to like-minded individuals,
Oh yeah. It's honestly like when we started this, I never imagined that it would get to this point.
Right. And there's so much more room, there's so much goodness in the future that's coming, right? And and right now it feels so good.
Well, the internet opens up everything. The
It
moment
really
that
does.
if you want to, you can really go beyond borders.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
100%. But I will say that, going forward into the future and next gen and things like that, I've definitely thought about what's come before. Like when we
Indeed.
talked about Mark Cerny and his presentation on the PS5 and all this and that, and kind of like the specs and everything, we're all like the jumps between generation were becoming smaller and smaller, but we hold these previous generations in like such high esteem and such high regard. Onyx, dude, what's one of your favorite generations in gaming?
So I love that. So that's as you can obviously tell by now, that is the topic of our podcast today. Our topic is going to be what is our favorite generation, right? And we'll go from that idea.
Mm-hmm.
So when I think about generations, right, I always think about, like you just mentioned. Thank you so much for the beautiful segues.
You're welcome.
The idea of these jumps, right? You started off with a very simple 8-bit, right? You jumped to 16-bit, which was a pretty big jump at the time. But I feel like the biggest jump in terms of advancement was from the 16-bit era to the 32, right? Going from Super Nintendo graphics to 3D polygons. That was huge, right? I feel like that was probably the biggest jump. But for me, personally, my favorite generation would have come around a 128-bit generation, or the PS2, Xbox, well, the original Xbox. I was going to say Xbox One, but that's not right. And the Nintendo GameCube. That era, those like 5 or 6 years where we had such good games, is my favorite generation.
Nice. I would definitely agree with you, man. Like, I spent so much money on my PS2 games.
Oh my god.
It was kind of insane. Robin, do you have like a specific generation? I mean, do you agree that like that was kind of like the best jump in regards to graphical fidelity and things like that?
Well, it's funny because when I think of my first time that I entered gaming, let's say, that was during the Super Nintendo age that I can really remember well. Mm-hmm. And I never played N64. I missed that completely. I just loved my Super Nintendo that much. And then I made the jump right away to PlayStation 2/GameCube. And it's very hard for me to decide which of the two I like the most, because both of them have their charms. Mm-hmm. And if you look at, for example, Legacy, I think Super Nintendo games are still beautiful even today compared to GameCube games, which are definitely a little bit more outdated due to the graphics that they have. Mm-hmm. And a Super Nintendo game is an endless museum of nostalgia, let's say. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I think I would go for Super Nintendo in the end.
Okay. I mean, that's no wrong answer here, right? It's the 16-bit era was incredible. I mean, like I said, the jump from 8-bit, right? You see these like really low pixel count characters, right? Like you look at Final Fantasy 3, the original Final Fantasy 3, and look at Final Fantasy 4. Mm-hmm. And it's just, I mean, it's insane, the jump of detail that you got, all the different colors, the sound effects, right? Because the Super Nintendo had a really good sound chip. So all these things like music, it like Donkey Kong Country, like you remember that soundtrack?
Oh
It's
man,
amazing soundtrack.
That was
I
incredible.
Still listen to it.
Heck yeah, and then the graphics too, right? We started getting those like the Mortal Kombat type of graphics. It's just, man, the 16-bit generation was a really, really special time in gaming. It truly was.
Oh yeah, I mean, I agree with you that that the 16-bit era of gaming was kind of like insane. I put in when the SNES was in my home, and that was kind of like my main console. I had to go ahead and go out and rent the games because I was a kid. And my parents weren't, I would go to Albertsons or Blockbuster.
Damn, Albertsons?
Yeah, dude, Albertsons had like a rental area where you can actually rent games. It was insane. It was insane.
Albertsons. So I don't, Robin. I mean, do you guys have Albertsons out there in the Netherlands?
No.
So
So Robin, imagine like a Lidl or an Aldi, and they have like a little section where you can go ahead and buy or rent games or consoles
That's
or whatever.
amazing.
It's nuts, right?
yeah, this is news to me. Like I didn't even know a supermarket had a game rental section. That's hilarious to me.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's new for me as well. I mean, I grew up in a small, well, let's say a small village, let's say, and we only had like one or two game stores at that time, and nowadays they're actually both gone. So where my parents live at least, and if you want to get games now, you have to travel for 20 minutes. So at that time when I was young, like going to the game store was like the biggest thing for me to go somewhere.
Of course,
I don't know. Like,
of course.
we didn't really have rental things as far as I know. I never rented. I always bought them. And then I sold my Super Nintendo with all my games, and that was sad. That was a sad
Isn't that
moment.
sad?
That's so sad.
I was talking to Rudy because I used to have a pretty big game collection too, and I have no idea where those games went. Like I feel like I lost them, the last couple of years, and it's a sad feeling because you look back and you think like, damn, what was I thinking? Like I wish I would have kept that,
And the worst thing, the money that I got from it, I spent to another game, and I don't like the game at all. Like,
Isn't that the worst?
Like, so like if I
so
look back now, if someone asked me like, what is one of the things that you would change, I would actually go back to that time and be like, do not sell my Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Do not do it.
Seriously. Oh, and I actually, me personally, I never owned a Super Nintendo. I actually was a Sega Genesis kid. I had my dad bought me the Sega Genesis, and I, for the next generation, I had the Sega Saturn as well. I had the Sega Dreamcast. Like I was a Sega kid pretty much my entire childhood up until the 64. I did have a Nintendo, the NES, when I was like 8 or 9, but after like I think it died or something. I forget what happened to that console.
No.
But after I had my Genesis, like I was like diehard Sega until I got a 64. And I remember getting a 64 for Smash Brothers because damn, like that was such a wild idea. But we'll get to that generation in a bit. But yeah, no, Super Nintendo. I have a lot of fond memories. I've talked about it before in some of our Let's Plays when we played Super Mario World. I have a lot of fond memories with Super Mario World. That is probably my favorite platformer ever. My favorite Mario game for sure. So yeah, Super Nintendo is damn. The 16-bit era is great, man. Great choice there.
I mean, come on, like Metroid.
Super Metroid, man.
Super Metroid is still by far like one of my favorite Metroidvania games to play to date. It just has like a perfect feel of everything. But the other cool thing that I love about that is that we kind of before Star Fox, was there any other on-rail shooter?
Before Star Fox?
Yeah.
I believe there were, but they were kind of different, right?
Yeah.
So like I think the on-rail shooter started with what you would call like the overhead. I don't want to say bullet hell, but kind of, right? Like that genre of like you look overhead, you look at like Galaga, right?
Yeah,
like Galaga, you could say is like an on-rail shooter. It's just overhead and it's 2D.
Mm-hmm.
No?
I meant in the 3D space.
No, I believe I could be wrong, but I believe Star Fox was the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I think so too. I was doubting like was Sin and Punishment when did that come out, but it was an N64 game.
Yeah, that was N64. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
like,
I just recalled the game.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
It's one of those things that like it was like this era where there was a bunch of innovation, and they were pushing as much as they could of the console itself. Super Mario World is by far the best 2D platform. I agree with you, Onyx. But
So
there were also like so many like licensed games that came out in that era that
That
hold
were
a fond
quality.
memory, dude. Like
that were quality. That's the crazy shit. Like
Yeah.
you
The
think of
Disney
a
games?
licensed game nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a Goof Troop. Goof Troop
Goof
was a
Troop was
surprisingly good
amazing.
game. Like I don't know how
And
they
difficult.
thought that show was gonna,
Oh, yeah.
or that license like needed such a good game, but it did. Or like I don't know if you guys ever played Tiny Toon Adventures.
Yes. Oh my
Like
god.
why was that game so good? I had no right.
But the thing was, also what I like about the Super Nintendo era and about the licensed games. If you think about the Disney games, they
Yeah.
were difficult.
Oh,
they
yeah.
were
Oh,
so
hell yeah.
difficult.
Lion King?
Lion King is terrible, really, and Aladdin.
So bad.
Aladdin.
also
Oh my
terrible.
god.
Oh my god, yeah.
It was so hard, but I remember like playing those games like nonstop, and I like actually was good at them. Like I don't know, it just holds like such a special part.
Look at his
in-
humble brag over here.
Oh
It's
my
actually
God.
pretty good. They weren't that hard.
Well, it's because like when they went ahead and they re-released them recently, everybody's like, "Man, these games are so hard." I'm just like, "No, like you just gotta get good, man."
Damn, look
mean,
at this guy. Like Dark Souls ain't
If
nothing,
you look,
man.
if you look back now at the games from then, it's really like if you look back, you really like. Did I have that much patience for the games? Because now there are so many games, and you want to play all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's too difficult, you're like, no, I'm not gonna do this. Let's not do this.
You know, dude, I am with you. I used to be like, when the first Demon Souls, when Demon Souls came out, or even Dark Souls 1, I was so like, yeah, let's go, beat my ass, make me retry this 100 times. And now, like, if it's too difficult, I'm like, no, I don't care. Like, I didn't even finish Sekiro. I got to the final frigging boss of Sekiro, and that motherfucker kicked my ass so much, I just give up. I'm like, I don't care. I'm at the final boss. I essentially beat the game without beating the game. All I'm missing is a stupid cutscene. So I didn't even finish Sekiro. Like, forget that. It was too frustrating. And a broken PS4 controller later. Yeah, not worth it.
You were talking about good platformers on the Super Nintendo. I'm thinking back also at Yoshi's Island, which I really love as well. I love Super Mario World, but Yoshi's Island has also something for me. I don't know
Yoshi's
what
Island
that game
is
did.
good, man.
I
It's
never played it.
amazing.
I
Yeah, you
never
did.
played it. Well, I mean, yeah, the little bit that we played during
On
your
live stream.
but back then, I never got an opportunity to play it because again, it wasn't at Albertsons. I wasn't able to rent it, so I never got a chance, man. So I'm excited. I love the fact that Switch Online provides the opportunity to play old classics. Because I would say, out of everything that's on Switch Online, I've probably played like maybe 25%. Maybe 30 out of everything that's there. So it's awesome. I like the fact that service is there to bring back that nostalgia.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish it had more availability, but that's a
I agree.
topic for another discussion.
I mean, the
think.
thing is, for example, with Super Metroid, I never played that game. I loved Metroid Prime, for example, and I really want to go and play Super Metroid. I have that chance, but there are so many other games I have to play still. So
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's weird. It's slightly off topic, but I'm at the point right now where like I don't even know what to play. I'm like, do I go back and try to finish Yakuza? Do I try to play one of these new games on Xbox Game Pass? Like, I don't even know what to play, so I end up just playing Overwatch.
Oh my god,
It's a curse. It's a curse, dude. But we'll get back to that. So,
man.
So Robin's is the 16-bit generation. Rudy, so you agree with me? Well, not you agree with. Your favorite generation as well is the PS2.
Yeah, because I put in way more time, energy, and effort into that PS2 than anything else. I didn't have an OG Xbox. All the
Right.
Halo games that I played were at my friend's house.
Yeah,
So
I'm pretty sure I let you play some of them.
I love you, man. Thank you.
Dude, so the reason why that generation, like you said, yeah, you spent a lot of time on it. So did I. But I think it's because of our age, right? So we were born when the first generation of games, or the second generation of games, I believe, which was the NES. I forget what gen it is, but that generation, the Nintendo era, that's when we essentially were born.
Yep.
So we got to play, like all these games essentially growing up. So gaming was kind of growing up with us at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And when we get to the PS2 era, I'm in high school, right? I get my first job when I'm in high school, and I start getting money and I start buying my own stuff, and that's when I started really, really, really getting into gaming.
Mhm.
Like for the PS2 and GameCube generation in particular, Metroid Prime to me is probably the highlight of that generation. So I guess we'll move the conversation a little bit towards the next topic, which my question was, what is your favorite memory of that generation, right? And pretty like I said, my favorite is probably Metroid Prime, because since then I don't think a game has wowed me to that extent. In terms of presentation alone, the graphics of Metroid Prime, right? The quality, the polish, like the details. We've talked about it before, how you walk through a waterfall and like fog gets on the visor, right? You walk through like steam and steam gets on the visor, and then like you can see Samus's eyes darting left and right if you're moving in that direction. It's all those little details, the atmosphere, the music, like the boss and enemy design. That game is so damn close to perfect for me that I don't know. That's one of the reasons why I really, really love that generation.
Touche. I mean, I will, for one, agree with you that Metroid Prime is one of the gems of that generation. I played that game so much. Like,
oh my God,
I 100%ed it, and I loved it. I loved it. But I will say that when I think of that era, and I think of everything that came out of that era, Shadow of the Colossus is the one game that I remember playing it. And I mean, you were there.
Do you remember our demo?
Yeah, like I still have the disc.
Tell Robin that story. I don't know if he knows that story.
So, Robin, I used to be subscribed to PlayStation Underground, and they would send these demo discs for upcoming games. And I went ahead and I got Shadow of the Colossus, and it was Sean, Onyx, myself, and a mutual friend of ours, Izzy.
Oh, but what's his name? Izzy, right?
It was Izzy.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So like we went ahead and we were all in my bedroom, all four of us. We booted up this demo, and like we were blown away by Shadow of the Colossus in that demo. Like we were just went in expecting nothing, and I was just all like, like, wow, this is art. That's immediately like I was just all like, I'm getting chills just talking about it. Like I was just so in awe at the beauty, the music, the visual aesthetic. And at the time, I mean, we were in high school. The biggest thing that I had to look forward to was Toonami and Dragon Ball Z, and that's pretty much it. But when I started playing that game, and I eagerly awaited for it to come out, I was just in awe. I was in love, and I've purchased every single re-release of that game, including Blue Point's re-release on PS4, because it's such a beautiful game.
Dude, I'll never forget that. Like we went to the store, I think the day after, or like a few days after we played that demo at your house, and just bought the game.
Yeah.
I like Sean was like, yeah, I bought Shadow of the Colossus, and like I went to Best Buy, and it was on sale. I think, I don't know, I got it for $40. That's all I remember.
That's not bad.
And I was just so happy.
Played Shadow of the Colossus was, I believe, on the PlayStation 3, and actually still at that time, because the graphics were okay, let's say. I mean, for PlayStation 3 at that time, it was okay.
Right.
But the presentation and the setting and everything, I was blown away as well. The music, everything. And it was almost a silent kind of... The story did it... You had to kind of look into the gaps of the story, because, I mean, it was just killing all the Colossi, let's say.
Yeah.
But it was such a beautiful story. Really
no,
good,
it doesn't even tell you anything until like the last or second to last boss. So the second to last Colossus, when you start finding out like, oh, this is what happened before. This is why I'm doing this. Oh my God.
Yeah. And like as you slowly play, like the Wanderer slowly degrades and becomes what he is at the end. I don't know. I love it.
I believe if you even listen to the music of the game, it becomes, in the beginning, it's very heroic, and the more and more you're defeating the Colossi, the more sinister it starts sounding as well. Like, I love the fact, the little details of that you're like, am I really the good guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, I think of the final Colossi, the 16th Colossi, that music, like, I'm hearing it in my head right now, and I'm like, yeah, that's not happy music. That is ominous, depressing, like... It 100% makes you question what you're doing, because, I guess, spoiler alert for a very old game, you're not really doing a good thing at the end. You're releasing an evil that's been shackled to that area of the world. Shadow of the Colossus is special. And yeah, major kudos to Ko Otani, the composer of the music. He is exceptional. He's done a bunch of stuff like in anime as well, and that man can make some good music.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And actually, I wanna come back to Metroid Prime actually as well, because I have
Yeah.
two beautiful memories of it. Because I had a GameCube and I bought Metroid Prime, and I was like, good, I'm gonna play it.
Heck yeah.
My GameCube somehow couldn't handle that one disc. So
What?
somehow my
What?
laser, yeah, it was so weird. Every time I would put in Metroid Prime, it didn't work, and I was like, why do you not work? Every other game worked fine. Only Metroid Prime didn't. So I had
I
to
love
call,
that. Like
tell my parents.
Nintendo GameCube, work.
I was so confused, and then I told my parents, I bought this game, I cannot play it. Okay, we're gonna get a new GameCube. So we got a new GameCube, a second one. It works fine. Then I played that game, and oh man, it was beautiful. And then remember, I come at the Omega Pirate, and
Oh,
everybody
yeah.
hates the Omega Pirate. I love that boss fight so much. I defeated him. I press reset, and I do it again.
You did it again.
to torture
yes.
myself.
Yes.
But yeah, Metroid Prime has some beautiful memories. I also, sorry that I go on about it, because like nostalgia is a thing.
No,
I
absolutely.
remember playing for 8 hours straight, and I forgot to save. And I remember that when I only have like one health bar left, let's say, like a few hits from those space bars, and I'm done. And I think it was a little bit around the end game. So you were already hyped, but 8 hours of playing and everything would be gone. Ooh, that would hurt.
Yeah.
So in the end, I made it to the save station, but I didn't know where it was, so I had to search for a save station, not die. That was the most intense last hour that I played, and then I quit for a few days.
That is so funny. I love that, man. That reminds me of it didn't have a happy ending, but when I first played Final Fantasy VIII, I got that on PC. Right, I had an old desktop back then. I was able to play Final Fantasy VIII on, and I got to the 4th disc, and I was stuck on the 4th disc because the first battle in that game is a boss fight that's really, really hard. I don't know if you remember it, Rudy. Fighting Adele when she takes Rinoa in her body.
Yeah.
So I was stuck in that battle, but I just saved it, whatever. My brother had made a second file,
Oh my gosh, I know what this
and
is.
he got to like the 2nd or 3rd disc, I don't know, whatever. He's just playing the game, and he had to save it really quickly. He had to do something or go, or I don't know what it was, but he saved very quickly. And then the next time that I jump on the computer and I boot it up, I see his save file copied over mine.
No.
I was so sad. When I told him, I wasn't mad. I was just like, dude, I lost my save file, man. And he started crying. Granted, he was like 9 years old at the time, so he knew the pain, but he was so sad. He to this day, he'll be like, dude, I'm sorry, man. To this
so
day.
painful.
Heck yeah, dude. And then I had a friend who was really into Legend of Dragoon, obviously back in the PS1 days, and he was on the final boss, and he didn't want to like lose his progress, so he left his PS1 on the entire night and the school day the next day, so he could go back home and finish the last boss.
Oh
Amazing.
man, that's like when we were playing. What was it? Final Fantasy VII Remake. One of the things that we immediately like tooted, in private conversation was the fact that you could save anywhere.
Yes.
It's crazy. Like my wife, when she was playing the game, she was just like, "Oh, I could just go wherever I want." Blah 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 blah. But at the same time, it's like the Final Fantasy 8, 7, and 9 era on the PS1. You had that sort of save point where you were just like, okay, this is the next chapter that I'm going to play, and you kind of, when you hit save, you're just like, okay, what time is it? Can I go ahead and go for like another hour and a half? And just having like that accessibility and I don't know, just chapter setup of Final Fantasy 8, and just in general, I don't know, it's a cool little nuance, and just kind of like a retro feeling in general in regards to that. But for me, man, like I'm so glad that you guys mentioned Metroid Prime, because Metroid Prime is just a beautiful game in general. It still holds up in today's standards.
It does.
I hope that they re-release it, and because it deserves the love, especially leading up to what's going on and whatnot. But if I were to say, on a console, Metroid Prime on GameCube is probably the highlight of that console for its entire lifespan. But I don't know. I mean, did Onyx? Did you have an OG Xbox?
I did. Absolutely. That's how I played Panzer Dragoon Orta.
Nice. So
Yeah.
would you say that like Panzer Dragoon Orta was like the highlight of that console for you?
If we're talking on a console specific basis, that's a
Yeah.
good idea. I like that. So let's do that. Yeah, like for GameCube, Metroid Prime was definitely the highlight. And I also want to give a runner-up highlight to the Resident Evil remake, because I still think to this day that's the best looking game that entire generation. Like Metroid Prime looks amazing, but Resident Evil remake with those pre-rendered backgrounds, the aesthetics of the game, the environment, everything, like that game, fucking flawless in the graphics department. But for the OG Xbox, that's kind of tough because you have, the Halo, right? You have Halo 1 and Halo 2 on the original Xbox.
Yeah.
You have Jet Set Radio Future, Panzer Dragoon, Shenmue 2. I played it first on the original Xbox. So there are a lot of good games. It's just funny that I'm trying to think really hard. Like, okay, what other game did I freaking love on the OG Xbox? And I can't think of very many.
I'm purely asking from like a conversation standpoint because obviously I didn't have an Xbox.
Right.
I almost said Xbox One. I mean an OG Xbox.
Right.
And the few games that I did play, like I remember playing Halo and like that epic music. I mean, I'm sure we can all agree that the music in Halo is just like astoundingly amazing.
Always gets me. Like you have this what's the name? Video Games Live, I believe they're called.
Yes.
Yeah, and they have like this. I think in their third or the fourth one, they have an arrangement on the Halo theme. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And now that I have Xbox Game Pass, I am willing to play the Halo series because a lot of people told me it's amazing. Go play it, and I'm like, well, that's actually a series I want to get into.
Oh yeah, I mean the gameplay, the story, like there's a reason why I always tried to find people that had an Xbox that would let me play Halo games. Like I never owned quality. They're good. They're good. They're enjoyable more than anything else. And I'm just speaking from a campaign basis. I rarely played multiplayer on those games because
the other night we did.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I was like, how do you do this? How do you do that? Blah blah blah. Because I didn't know. So it was good times, man. I kind of wish I had, an Xbox at the time just to kind of like get into it and see what was available, like the original Gears of War and things like that. But I don't know. I just when I think
Modern
of Xbox,
Warfare, dude. Call of Duty Modern Warfare was also a big deal. Yeah, Lost Odyssey was also. Now I'm starting to think, those were the games I played on the. Well, that's 360 though. That's 360.
Yeah.
You know what the sad thing is about those generations? I was working at that time also, I believe. Yeah, I was working in a gaming store at that time, and the FIFA games. They were always the highlight for people, and I was like, but there's so much more beautiful things, please.
And don't get me wrong, I get like sports games, and I get why people love those, but for me,
same.
Like I just, if I play a video game, it's escapism for me. And again, not saying that you can't play a real life simulator essentially to escape real life, but I want to see something that I've never seen before. Yeah.
Yes. But Animal Crossing is amazing. I love it. That was
Animal Crossing is amazing.
Hey, that's your favorite generation right there, man.
Yeah,
GameCube
man.
era.
GameCube era. Like, there's a reason why that's there. I actually like booted up the original Animal Crossing recently, and my entire town, my entire village is full of weeds. It's I don't know. I love it, man. If you need to get it, Onyx. You need to get it.
It will eventually.
God, listen. If you buy me Overwatch, I will buy you Animal Crossing.
Fair trade, man. Overwatch is $20.
I'll figure a way to make it work. It's such a damn good game. Ugh.
No, I get that. I mean, I've been planning to buy it, but.
About memories, if I think about the 16-bit era back, and RPGs and JRPGs were so good at that time. And one of my favorite RPGs is one of them that nobody knows, which is so sad.
Oh, which
Lufia. One? Lufia 2, The Rise of the Sinistrals. Have you heard of it?
I've never heard of it.
I've heard the name Lufia. Let me look it up really quickly. I swear I've heard that name before.
I believe it came at the end of the Super Nintendo life cycle, let's say, and it was really, really I believe it came around the same time of Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy VII. So, I mean, it came out at an area that already had so many good RPGs, and I mean, Final Fantasy VII at that time looked amazing, especially compared to Lufia, which was super 16-bit.
Right.
But the game, the story, everything, the music, it was amazing. And a little fun fact, it was one of the first games ever to be translated in Dutch. So I have a Dutch version still at home. Because when I sold my Super Nintendo, my parents said, "Are you sure you want to sell everything?" I'm like, no, I'm not selling this game because I put so many hours in that game. It's such a good RPG. And like the reaction that you had on Panzer Dragoon when it got a remake, I would lose my shit when Lufia would get a proper remake, because the one that Square Enix did on the DS was not what I wanted.
Right.
I heard it is good, but if it's a proper remake, I'm all for it.
Oh, that is so funny. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Lufia 2, Rise of the Sinistrals. I see that it came out in PAL in 1997. That is crazy. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. And I see that it's Square Enix, isn't it?
Yeah.
Square Enix, I guess, owns the franchise now?
Now it does. It was before it was Taito, I believe.
Taito, yeah, I see that, yeah.
Yeah. I really want to boot it up again. I bought a new Super Nintendo and I only have that game in Super Mario World. I still have left, but that game was enough. And like if I play it now, I still remember all the puzzles and how to solve it. It's really
the graphics
amazing.
look great. I'm looking at this like, damn, this looks kind of cool.
Right. That looks
Lufia
awesome.
2. That
The
is so
story
cool.
really and the music, I really recommend you to look up the battle music of bosses and just normal teams and the overworld team. It's gonna blow your mind, in my opinion at least. I think it has one of the coolest dungeon overworld battle musics as well from this day even onwards.
Oh, I'm sure. See, no, now that you mentioned like a game that you've played that nobody ever plays, I felt like that about Panzer Dragoon for a while. But did you ever play or remember Rocket Knight Adventures? We've talked about that before on TGR.
No, never heard of it.
Never heard of it? Yeah, Rocket Knight Adventures. It was a Genesis game, and the Super Nintendo did get its sequel, which I think it was like Sparkster, I think it was called. But that game was so cool because it was you were like a possum inside this like a knight. You look like a knight. You had like a sword and you had like a suit of armor and stuff. But that game's aesthetic, the music, like Rocket Knight Adventures was a really good platformer. Really hard, really hard, like a lot of the games back in the day. But yeah, you should definitely look that up.
It's actually really cool.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know. The HUD is a bit. It reminds me of Mega Man somehow. The HUD. If you look at one of the things, like the screenshots.
Yeah.
Funny.
It's a great game. I don't know if we'll ever get to like get it on any platform, like a modern platform, but that would be. I'd love to play that online. I'd love to play that on a stream.
I mean, but it's actually funny if you think about it, because now we live in an age where remakes, remakes, and remasters are such a thing out of nowhere. Like every game gets a remaster or a remake out of nowhere. I kind of like it as well, because like franchises that never had a chance, let's say,
right?
Because it's difficult. They have now a chance to like come back and let people show, like Panzer Dragoon, because more people now know the franchise Panzer Dragoon, for example.
No, yeah, for sure. Panzer Dragoon. I'm glad they remade it. But and this is slightly off topic, but I am, Rudy can vouch for this. I am big on preservation of video games. And I feel like a lot of companies nowadays, they are so focused on, like you said, remaking, remastering, or even replacing that original game that we're not preserving the classics. Like, I wish that I could boot up an actual licensed copy of the original Panzer Dragoon and play it, but I can't because it's super hard to get it unless you have the Sega Saturn, right? Or a Japanese PS2. So it's really hard to get a copy of that. And then, like I like the remake, but it's not as refined as the original was. So, you kind of lose in a way that original game. And I wish more companies would be more about preserving video games and having accessibility to those. Like Lufia 2. Like right now, I want to play Lufia 2. I'm like, damn, that game looks pretty cool. How can I play it? Oh, I can't unless I probably emulate it, right? Or if I had a Super Nintendo and buy a really expensive copy of the game.
You know what's sad, man, is that like some of these games don't make their way to Steam, because I feel like Steam and PC gaming in general is just like a huge library that dates back to like the origins. I'm sure that there's licensing deals, publishing deals that were made behind closed doors that kind of prevent that. But I just wish that today's whatever, like you mentioned that that Lufia is pretty much owned by Square Enix now, correct?
Right.
Yes.
So yeah, so why can't Square Enix just go ahead and put it on the Steam store, similar to Final Fantasy?
Right.
I agree.
They probably see it's all a business decision nowadays, right? I mean, it always has been. This is a conglomerate after all, right? This is capitalism at its finest, but it is a business decision. Like they probably think, okay, it's going to cost us X amount of money to port it onto Steam. How many sales are we going to expect to get? Again, they don't think about the preservation. They think about money. And I get it. You know, we you know, they have to make some money. I get that, but at the same time, if you're a multi-million-dollar company, you can afford to take a little bit of a loss in order to keep the history of the genre, because that is history essentially we're talking about here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, I 100% agree with you, and that's kind of like where the whole, I guess, the whole aspect of preserving games as they are, like
think about movies, man. Think about movies. Like when you hear of a remake, like let's just think of the Dawn of the Dead remake, 2004 or 5. Nobody says, "Oh, that remake replaces George A. Romero's original vision."
Of course not.
Right? You never hear that because it's just different. For films, we think of preservation all the time. You know, unless you're George Lucas and want to screw what you did originally with Star Wars. But with gaming, it's just not treated the same way. But yet, gaming wants to be looked upon as the same as movies. They want to have that same like, oh no, we're just as good as movies, but we don't treat them the same way we treat movies.
I mean, that's like a whole different conversation, but like, you know, just to not to go too deep into it, like it's two completely different mediums, man. It's like comparing movies to books. Like a book can handle the storytelling process so much differently than a film. Like a book that you can experience over however long it takes for you to read a book versus a movie where, you know, if you hit 3 hours, it's kind of like you're pushing it, man. So most kind of stick to that hour and a half, 3 hour margin. Video games, the biggest thing for me is that you are immersed.
Right. It's an active activity versus a passive activity.
Exactly.
And a lot of the video game, what makes it stand out is the feelings that you get while playing. You know, they tend to be very subjective. Right. When you watch a movie, you can have different feelings for different scenes and stuff, but you're not going to deviate that much from it. But with a video game, it's so much different. So much different.
I had that. I just finished. Which was it? I finished 2 games this week, which was Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
Nice.
And Jedi Fallen Order, and both of them really sucked me in the story, because like Jedi Fallen Order was the game that I wish the trilogy was in the end, because it really gave me a Star Wars feeling.
Yeah.
And I was really invested in it because it was perfect in my opinion, Star Wars wise, let's say. And if I look at Ori and the Blind Will of the Wisp, I mean, I don't need to talk about it. It's an amazing game. Period.
Oh yeah,
dude, that game, Will of the Wisp, is a good example of like a sequel done right. Oh my god,
yeah.
Improving on pretty much everything.
Every single thing, man. Oh god, I
we need to review it.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, we need to review it. Like, I need to go back. I need to like. We recorded so much content of it. You know,
I have like 15 gigs of footage.
Yeah, we need to actually like we need to edit and get it out into the wild. But no, man, that the music, like it essentially is what Kingdom Hearts 2 was to Kingdom Hearts 1.
Absolutely.
Like it essentially took everything that was wrong, fixed it, and whatever was good, it just improved it.
Right.
Like it was an amazing game. I'm glad you experienced that, Robin. Honestly, it's a hell of a game.
It was amazing. I mean, I think nowadays having like sequels, because we're talking about classic games, of course, like as a team, and a lot of games get sequels at some point. I mean, there are not that many games that have good sequels sometimes. But I think there are still good sequels, as what you said with Kingdom Hearts and with Will of the Wisp. And personally, I think with Uncharted, for example, if we go to the PlayStation 3 era for a moment, Uncharted games were amazing, and I think every Uncharted game was a little bit better.
Yeah, definitely. -4. I
have never played 4, so I don't know.
Oh, you're good. No, 4, like from a technical standpoint, 4 is pretty damn incredible. But the pacing of that game to me is utter crap. It was not very good. You know, you can ask like Rudy, like when we were playing it, like we would talk, like me, him, and Sean. Man, I did not like that game very much. The best scenes were shown at the E3 trailer. That blows my mind. Like, I hate that so much.
So I respectfully disagree with Onyx on this one.
You're wild, dude.
The
Scotland, dude. Fucking Scotland.
That's it. That's the only bad part in the pacing.
What do you mean?
That was the
what
only.
What about that whole scene with the brother? Like that game was whatever.
Get out of here, Stella. Now, in the grand scheme of things, though, if we go back to the PS3 era of Uncharted 2 to me is
Uncharted
like
2 is the king, man.
yeah, like it just
That was amazing.
it had minus the bug eyes, everything else was perfect. Like
Yeah.
it was. I replayed that. Maybe I platinumed it. I wasn't sure, but
That was hard to platinum. That was a hard game to platinum.
Well,
I
yeah,
tried.
you have to play every single
difficulty,
and when I got to like the hard difficulty, I got kind of halfway through and I was like, I'm done.
What about crushing difficulty? The stupid, like, you die in like 2 hits difficulty.
Is that what it was called? I don't know. It
was like easy, normal, hard, and crushing, I believe.
Well, whatever it was, man, I remember like looking at it and being like, this is all I need left, and I just said, it's not worth it. And that's kind of like where I fell off the whole, trophy hunting. Yeah. I was kind of done with it. I was like, nah, I don't need it.
No, I get it. So okay, we've talked about the past, right? We've talked about our favorite generations and why we love them so much. But let's take that ideology, right? What we love so much about those generations, and what would you want from next gen, right? We're a few months away from potentially having a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X on our hands. So what do you want in terms of game design and game development from next gen?
I think for me, Nintendo already did that with the Switch. If we consider the Switch already in the same era, I mean, I consider them with the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X.
Very early, like 3 years early.
3 days. Let's not talk about the Wii U then, because I mean
that's so funny. That's so friggin' funny. I was talking to Rudy right before we started this, and I was like, the Wii U is such an enigma. The Wii U was supposed to be the PS4 and Xbox One equivalent, right? Because they came out a year before those came out, so it's that generation. Yep. But within that same generation, they also released a Switch, which is like the idea of the Wii U, right? With the whole, like, you put it on your TV and you can take it to go, except like way better done, right? Because the Switch is essentially the original idea of the Wii U. It's just, like I said, it's just way better implemented. So, like, do you see that as like the next generation or like a mid-gen refresh to the Wii U?
I find it really difficult to then like put it somewhere because of the Wii U, because I bought the Wii U very early in
Me too.
in its life cycle, and I loved it. I loved actually the console.
So did I. Oh my god, so did I, man. I used to tell Rudy and Sean, guys, get a Wii U. Nah, that thing sucks, bro. Ooh, Nintendo Land. Ooh, what is that crap? They hated it.
Yeah.
You know it, dude. I literally came over to Sean's house with my brother, and Rudy was there. And I was like, guys, let's go ahead and have fun. Let's play some Nintendo Land. Let me show you Monster Hunter 3U. And they gave me so much crap, Robin. They were like, this is whack, bro. What is this? And I was like, oh, you guys don't even know.
Oh, I know. Robin, I bought a Wii U like a few months ago. I literally bought a Wii U. Well, mainly for my son. He saw Pikmin 3, he saw Super Mario 3D World, and he was like, this is so cool, Daddy, blah, 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 blah. So I was like, well, I found one used on Amazon. Like, it was Amazon Warehouse.
It was dumb cheap, too. Wasn't it like $80?
Yeah, it was $80. So I was like, why not?
Okay. I mean, perfect.
That's a great price, man.
Why not? And it came with Nintendo Land. It came with Super Mario 3D World. And then I ended up like buying a couple of extra games here and there. That console has charm, man, but there's some clear flaws that were fixed by the Switch.
Oh hell.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think its biggest flaw, in my opinion, and we're going totally off topic. My apologies.
Totally.
But,
it's okay. It's okay.
I think it was the marketing. Compared to the marketing that Nintendo is doing now with the Switch from the start, it's like if you did that with a better name for the Wii U, the Wii U would have sold pretty well. Not this well as the Switch, but it would have survived much longer, and the Switch could have cooked a little bit longer, let's say. But yeah, let's go back to the Switch then. I mean, the Switch for me is like my main console at the moment. I just bought a new laptop, so I opened a whole new world on gaming, for that matter. But if I look at console gaming, the Switch is already like amazing, because the charm that I saw in the games on the Super Nintendo, I feel them also inside the Nintendo Switch library. And the fact that I can take it with me is already amazing.
That's one of the better parts of it, the fact that it's all portable. Like, I love that so much.
And I wish that charm of gaming also comes to PlayStation 5 and Xbox, The fact is that with Xbox, I mean, I can play all the games pretty much on PC most of the time.
Yeah.
And with PlayStation 5, I'm really curious what they're gonna do, because I have no clue what they're gonna do, and that makes
You
it
haven't seen the
interesting as
console
well.
yet, dude.
I mean, the Unreal Engine 5 tech demo looked amazing, and if that's what gaming is in the future, I'm all in for it. Give me very cool games, like experiment, make new IPs. That's the main thing I want, like new IPs, because all the remasters are cool, but give me some new IPs as well.
Yeah. The one remake that I have been pleasantly surprised, and I am 100% on board with, is Final Fantasy VII Remake, and we're not gonna get into it too much because that's major spoilers and stuff, but what they did with that, like if more games did something similar, I'd be okay with it. But it is something very, very different. So I don't know. For next gen, like I'm with you on that. I do want to see more new IPs from the big ones, like with Naughty Dog, for example. They're making Last of Us 2 to give the PS4 a last hurrah, and a PS5 an early game to play. That's gonna be on PS5 as a remastered. It.
What, the
Last of Us Part 2? Absolutely. They're gonna be like, oh, by the way, here's a remastered version.
So here's the way that I see it. The way that Xbox is and this is totally off topic, but the way that Xbox is well, maybe it is on topic. I don't know. But the way that Xbox is handling their smart delivery system in regards to games being, you buy the disc once and you get an updated version on your Xbox Series X or whatever console you get. That's what PlayStation should do.
They need to. I don't even think they should. I think they need to.
Yeah.
If they don't do that, they are gonna be at a from a customer's perspective, right? From a consumer, not a consumer, from a user's perspective, because I don't want to say that we all just consume what they give us, right?
I do consume what they give us.
But from that perspective, if they fail to give something similarly, then dude, Xbox can do the same shit that Sony did to them back at E3 2013. Oh, this is how you share a game, and I'm handing you a copy. Xbox would be like, oh, this is how you upgrade to next gen. Buy it once. Boom, baby. Eat that shit. You know what I mean? So like, Sony needs to not be smug Sony from the PlayStation 3 reveal and be, humble Sony, as humble as you can be as a multi-million-dollar company.
I mean, PlayStation 4, Sony, I mean, they were not that humble at some point, like because they were winning. I don't like console wars. Like, I don't like the naming.
Oh my god,
me neither.
So
I don't like it.
You don't know how many comments we get of like, oh, all these Xbots or Sony PS4 losers. Like, God, how old are we? Oh, that's right. I forget they are actual teenagers on here.
I mean, that's also why I love the idea of Xbox Game Pass, where Microsoft is saying all these games you can play them everywhere, and if you want to have the best experience, in our opinion, it's on our console. And I didn't like what Sony was doing with the closed what was it again, the cross console. Crossplay. Yeah, I didn't like it. I was like, come on guys, just do crossplay. It's more fun for everyone.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna piggyback on what you just said, because I love the Xbox Game Pass. I have been playing so many games on that thing on my computer that I just wouldn't have played otherwise, because I'm not gonna buy an Xbox One for a few exclusives. I'm sorry to say that. However, with the Xbox Game Pass and having a pretty beefy PC, dude, I get the best of both worlds. You know what I mean? Now, if Sony were to like actually put their exclusives on PC, not 3 years later, then maybe we can, that might make me want to stay on PC, period. But I just don't see that happening. Sony is not like that.
No, not at all. I mean, they've been kind of like tooting it here and there, but I don't think that they're going to take the same approach as Xbox. Xbox is taking, and I've said it before in the past, they're taking the route that Microsoft, their parent company, has been taking, which is, I don't care who uses my software, but here, take my software. I'll make sure that it's on your platform.
Exactly. It's just like, why limit yourself to the potential worldwide audience? Your product is good. Put it on a worldwide scale. I think, and I mean, this is like, God knows if it'll ever happen, but I think eventually this might lead to a more uniform. Can you imagine like one, like a PC actually having access to all consoles, like minus Nintendo, because Nintendo will never change.
Yeah.
But having, like access to PlayStation games, Xbox games, and all that like on the PC, that would be incredible, man.
Kind of like what GOG is trying to do with the GOG Galaxy 2.0.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of. Not the same thing, but that's kind of like the route that they're trying to go for, where they're trying to uniform all of the platforms that are out there, all, like Epic Game Store, Steam, GOG, like Humble, like wherever it is that you're buying these games, you'll be able to see who's online. Just fire up a game from there, set up chat, connect Discord, things like that. I hope, and I agree with you again as well, Onyx and Robin, that like Xbox Game Pass has shown me games that I honestly don't think I would have like picked up otherwise. Like, dude, Streets of Rage 4.
Streets of Rage 4.
The most recent thing that we did and streamed on, and I was like, we played it, and I was like, holy crap, this is a really good game. I would not have picked this up any other way, and you know, I've enjoyed it, and I love that facet of it. Now, you know, kind of continuing the conversation of Xbox and what they're doing to evolve the next generation and gaming and whatnot. Have you guys, what are your opinions on Project xCloud?
I mean, it sounds interesting. I've not tried it. I am not on a streaming boat yet. I think the infrastructure is just simply not there. But it is a novel concept. Like, I'm able to play Halo on my phone as long as I have a Bluetooth controller. That's really cool. That's like super cool. I don't know. When it comes to game streaming, I'm not a fan of that yet. Right? I there's too much lag. There's too much
input
latency.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's like, I love the Xbox Game Pass model because you're subscribed, but you can download the games and play them off your physical computer. You know.
I tried cloud gaming with GeForce Now from Nvidia.
Oh, how's that?
On my phone. Yeah, I was surprised. Like, if this is the future of gaming, I'm really, really excited. And I think that Microsoft can do it better, honestly.
Yeah.
I also agree a little bit with Onyx on the fact that I'm not so sure if the infrastructure is there yet, because I think 4G is not strong enough yet, though we're starting to get 5G. It's rolling out. And I think if that is there, I think it makes sense if your internet can handle it. But I don't know. Like, in one hand, I like it, but I find it a bit difficult because I like physical games much more as well. I still buy everything physical.
Same.
Right.
So I don't know, like the whole thing with, I believe in Japan they have like the Switch cloud services as well, where you can stream a few games. I'm not such a fan of it because I do not have the game. At the same time, what you were saying with for example, the Game Pass, and I compare them a little bit with each other. I mean, I am now playing games that I never played before, and if I do not need to install them, it's perfect. I can just play them and I can see if I like it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that is true. That is definitely the pro of just like doing the streaming. Like you said, you know, you don't have to install it or anything. You can just try it, and if you like it, just, you know, maybe go from there.
Yeah.
Because I am also a physical type of dude. I like my physical games. That came out so wrong.
I was
physical
like,
type of dude. Like, oh really?
It's okay,
Onyx?
don't worry.
It's all right, Onyx.
Cool, man.
That's cool, man. No, but I like purchasing packaged games. I like physical games and copies of games, and you know, we've had this conversation before, you know, off the podcast and, you know, in private conversation. I think that it's just better to own a piece of physical media. Simple as that, in comparison to, because you're never going to own that software, so to speak. And this is kind of like going outside of gaming in general. Look at what's happening with Adobe and like how we don't own Adobe Photoshop anymore. It's
just renting
it's a subscription. You're renting it. The moment that your subscription is done, like, you're done. And it's like PlayStation Plus, Xbox Live, those games that you get, the moment that your subscription is done, you don't access them. You don't have, sure, they're giving us 2 games for free technically, but we're already paying for them, and it's a rental service.
And you're paying for a service. Way off topic again.
Totally. We're so off topic.
But you're paying, like, PlayStation Plus and Xbox Live. What are you actually paying for? Like the ability to access their games online. Are you kidding me? Like, you can do that for free on a PC. You've been able to do that for free on a PC for years.
Yep.
Yet these console makers are like, this is an easy way to make extra money that is unnecessary. Because that shit, I don't care what anybody says. Oh, they pay the bills. Yeah, well, so do their hardware sales and accessory sales and game sales do. That's all, like, to pay the bills. Like, they're multi-million-dollar companies. us paying $60 a year to access PlayStation Plus is ridiculous. I don't even remember the last time I booted up an online game on my PlayStation. I don't even know why I'm paying it. Holy shit. I'm about to cancel it.
You're going to cancel it today. Done.
Like, I genuinely don't know why I'm paying for it.
I mean, the idea behind it that you have to pay for playing online, I found it weird as well. Like with Nintendo, when they followed up, I was like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Do not do it. And they do it. And I'm like, why is it so bare bones? Like, why?
It's awful. It's awful. If Smash has shown me anything,
oh,
is that Nintendo still doesn't know how to do an online infrastructure correctly.
Yep.
God, the lag in that game is just awful.
Talking about the next generation Switch, please,
there you go.
better online infrastructure.
Switch Pro, please get us a good Wi-Fi card. Fix it, but I think that's gonna be not even on the Switch Pro. I think that's gonna be literally on Nintendo server side. Like they have to build a better infrastructure.
They have to change their infrastructure and the way they have it set up.
It's so bad. But let's actually get back to the topic. So, you know what? I'm with you on that. For next gen, in terms of game design, I want to see less microtransactions, which we're already moving to that, and give us full games. Spider-Man on the PS4 was a full game, right?
Yep. You did not need to get the DLC to enjoy the full story of Spider-Man.
Hell
no, absolutely. Nier Automata, again, full game, no DLC needed. Persona 5, like these big games that just come out and are complete, and that's it. You just get to enjoy it. I want more of that. Continue that trend of delivering your vision without having to worry about making more money off with DLC and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man.
I agree. At the same time, I do like DLC when I really like a game. And I don't know, did you play Xenoblade Chronicles 2?
No, but I have heard Torna is really good.
So the thing is, if you play the first, I'm not going to do any spoilers here because I think it's still kind of a new game. But if you play the first game and then you're like, I liked it, okay, then you want to probably know more about what happened because they say it's part of the story. So you're like, you're going to play it, and it's a prequel that plays like 500 years or something, I don't know exactly, before the main game. And I finished that and I was like, damn, it makes the first game even better. And
even
I'm like,
better.
I
Nice.
get it. It was amazing, and it's the same for me for example, Fire Emblem Three Houses. I really loved that game as well, and I think the DLC in that sense was also great. At Nintendo's side, the only DLC I didn't like was Zelda's, because I thought it was a bit
Yeah.
So
Ballad of the Champions was decent. I loved the thing you get at the end, the motorcycle. I forget what it's called, the ancient cycle, whatever. I like that, but that should have been given to you at the beginning. Like you barely used, like, okay, you beat everything now. What I get to ride around this motorcycle? Yay! Cool.
Yeah, and then you have Pokemon, which has the expansion pass coming up, which I do not have an opinion about it yet because I want to wait and play first and see what it actually gives before I'm gonna complain about it.
Right.
I am positive, but like hesitating as well. So let's see in June what that does.
Yeah. We'll see. I really wasn't a fan.
I did not. Onyx and I, we paid attention to, what was it, Dexit, in regards to removing everything and whatnot. And like, I was sitting there and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna err on, the positive side of things. I'm gonna give this game a chance and try it out. Onyx completely said, no, screw this, canceled his pre-order and just never got the game. And I kind of wish I followed his route because I would have been $60 richer. I wanted it to be a good game, and
I think everybody did. I wanted it as well to be a good game.
But it was just because it's Pokemon on your TV, and it wasn't. I don't take Let's Go and Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu into like the whole scheme of things, but it was next gen Pokemon. There was so much potential, and I don't know. I was not happy. Let's just put it like that.
I get it, though. It's funny though because I did enjoy the game somehow. I think one of my favorite Switch games in that sense, that I really enjoyed it for the 2 or 3 weeks that I played it, let's say, because I was playing with friends at the same time, and you could talk with each other. Oh, what did you find? I found this Pokemon. I found that Pokemon. And it felt like the nostalgia, back to the classic, like back from the past where I was like playing with friends. And then at the end I was finished and I was like, well, the story was crap, the music was cool, the Pokemon were cool, but this is it. There's no end game. Well, okay.
Yeah.
I haven't touched the game anymore afterwards, which I did with the other games,
But Robin, there is an end game. It's called DLC.
Oh yeah, that's true. I didn't like that.
That's what happened. You know, I am sorry. Like I'm not. I want to give the benefit of the doubt to Game Freak and say that they delivered a full product with Sword and Shield. But
They
when
didn't.
2 months later you show us all this footage of all this DLC that you've got planned for the next year, it's like,
And all the Pokemon that you wanted.
Yeah, you probably could have put that in the full game, but hey, you know, I get it.
Yeah,
You're trying to
it's
make
sad.
more money. It's Game Freak. They make a
Yeah.
lot of money.
They do make a lot of money, that's for sure.
God damn.
But
I don't know if you know about Ubisoft with Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I was playing that game and you can buy microtransactional stuff, which is not that important if you don't want it, of course. But
Of course.
there is this one thing that you want to buy, can buy. For people that do not know, Assassin's Creed Odyssey also has a leveling system, so you need to level up a little
Right.
bit and grind a little bit.
Yes.
You can buy an experience boost of 50% more XP for every encounter, and you kind of need it to not grind, which I hate.
Yep.
Because you
Yes.
need to buy an extra 10 euros to level up in a normal way. And it really feels like the 50% is needed to really, well, not grind yourself crazy, let's say. That's in my opinion, at least.
to help with the pacing. That's
Yes.
the thing. Like, who the hell thought, like, yo, I'm gonna make it grindy as hell, and if you want to not have a grindy experience, buy this time saver, as they like to call it. Like,
Oh,
are you
man.
kidding me?
Yep.
That is, from a design perspective, anti-consumer.
Yep.
Like,
Oh, yeah,
like
completely.
it doesn't matter how fun the game is. Like, if Persona 5 was like, yo, you know, here we go, but if you want to like not grind as much, here's a booster, and like the fights took like 10 times as long, and like that would have been such BS, man.
I totally agree, and I, you know, kind of to go back to what Robin said about Xenoblade Chronicles 2, looking back into the PS3 era, there is a DLC that I purchased that I actually really enjoyed, and that was The Last of Us, the DLC
Oh.
with Ellie, and kind of like giving
Her prequel, right?
her prequel, yeah.
Yeah.
And then also seeing what happened when Joel was out. When
That's right.
and
That's
kind
right.
of and spoiler alert for the guys that haven't played this, but dealing with the people that, you know, that were eating other people, like seeing everything that was there, that only made the original story that much better. And when Robin mentioned that, I was like, oh yes, this is exactly what comes to mind. If more games and more developers can do that in the future, where it's not like in this example of Pokemon, where it's just like, hey, we're gonna purposefully cut off content and put that into a DLC so that we can make more money. So instead of putting in $60, you're gonna put 80, 90, 100, whatever it is that they want to price it at.
Right.
And you're actually going to have something that expands the story and the characters and develops that world that's there even richer and makes it even richer, then that's the route that I would want for next gen, man. That's what I want, so to speak.
I get
Agreed.
that. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, and I think from a game design perspective, I don't want to say like look back at the older games and do what they did, but you know, I think back up to the old Final Fantasies, and I love what's happening with 7 Remake. I really do.
Me too.
And I'm all in. But I want a new Final Fantasy game that reminds me of the 32-bit era, man. Like, there was so much magic from 7 to 8 to 9 to 10 to 12. Like, those games are some of the best in the genre. I would love to see something that magical again. Will we ever see it? Probably not.
Nah,
But I would love to.
I don't know,
It's
man.
sad that I never could get into Final Fantasy somehow. Not once I finished a game of Final Fantasy.
That's
So, I
crazy.
don't know.
But you
Yeah.
do like JRPGs, don't you?
I love them, and like, thing is, everybody tells me go play Final Fantasy, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going. And I played 12, and I stopped at some point, and I don't know, I don't feel the need to go back to it. You know, like I was
12
like,
is weird because it has a very political story.
Yeah.
And it's not as accessible as the others. Like 7, 8, and 9 and 10 are all super easy to get into from a story perspective, but they all have their limitations nowadays. Like, I don't want to say like, oh, if you missed out on it back then, you're not going to enjoy it now, because you definitely can.
Yeah, I'm
It's
playing
just a
7
little
right
bit
now.
harder. Absolutely. It's just a little bit harder because game development has come a long way since then.
oh yes,
So, you know, but there are things that you can only get in that you won't get with modern Final Fantasies. Like,
true.
like they have actual open worlds, you know, to an extent, versus what we have with like 7 and 13. Those are very, very linear. You know, 15 had an open world as well, but 15 had a bunch of other issues with that game too.
Yeah.
I
But-
tried playing 13, and I every time I think I started new with that game for 3 times, and I always quit around a similar moment. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, slight spoiler alert. It's an older game, I guess.
Yeah, it's old.
Pretendless, the first time that you have to fight with him, like, I didn't like the fight. I was like, okay, no, I'm not gonna do this. I quit. Then I beat him. I'm like, oh, now I can play the story, and I felt nothing really happened, and everything was really linear, and I was like, what am I doing? Like, I could play like my Super Nintendo RPGs, which had more story and much more freedom than this one, and I was like,
Yeah, 13 was not a good. Was not.
I like it. I like the characters, but I mean, they could have done so much more. And if I look at Dragon Quest 11, I played it recently, and Dragon Quest really goes to the roots of RPGs, where it was, I mean, back in the days. And I loved it. I loved Dragon Quest. And then you come after you finish the game, and you're like, wow, there's a wall game after a wall game. You know,
It's insane. It's insane how that game is. Dragon Quest 11 is wild, man. But I do suggest, like, I think 7 Remake. Like I said in our review, 7 Remake is a return to form for Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy has been in a very weird state since we went HD.
Yeah.
And 7 Remake finally feels like we're back to, like, really damn good Final Fantasy. It's just that, you know, it is a remake in a way of Final Fantasy 7. It's a remake of an old game, so it's like, okay, are you guys actually out of ideas for new stuff? Like, can you make a brand new game in the Final Fantasy series that will work? I don't know. I guess only time will tell at this point.
Yeah, we'll see 16 eventually.
Eventually.
at some point.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm really excited for Xenoblade on when is it? Friday? Yeah, Friday.
Friday,
On the
yeah.
definitive edition.
yeah. I've
Yeah.
never played it. Have you guys played it? The original?
No, I never played it either. It was hard to play.
I played it a little bit, and then I couldn't handle it anymore due to the fact, one, the graphics were horrendous at that time, for me at least, because, I mean, I didn't have... I played it really late, like, I believe at the time of the Wii U I tried to play it, and at that time I didn't have a lot of time either, and JRPG asks for you a lot of time, so I was studying at that time still, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna do this. So when they said that they're gonna remake it, and it looks beautiful, I'm like, yeah, this is gonna happen, I'm gonna play it, and I bought the collector's edition, and I'm waiting for it on Friday.
I am so jealous of you.
Yeah, it's a nice collector's edition. Very nice.
It's amazing, I know.
Americans got screwed hardcore with that collection, man. Like,
I believe we talked about this, I think a year ago, about collector's editions, because I believe last year I was buying a lot of collector's editions, and every time Europe had such a beautiful one, and you guys were like, it's always
Come
like,
on.
it's like, here you have like, you get something, at least, like a book.
or a keychain. That's pretty much it.
Or some
I mean,
pins. Here you go.
I mean, I think I love, from all of them that I have, I really love the Astral Chain one, because it has a signature and everything, and only 11,000 were made of it or something.
That's
and
crazy, man.
And I have one of them, and it's an amazing one. I really love it. Even though Astral Chain is such a small game, I think it was a really
I love
good
that game though. That game was so
it's
good.
so good, so good. I actually, when I saw the Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, Collector's Edition, I actually almost asked my brother-in-law to go ahead and buy it for me. Like, I would be like, dude, just buy it for me, and I'll pay you for shipping. Like, because it's so beautiful, and like the vinyl record and everything. Like, oh man.
Yeah, I know. I will make a picture when I have it on Friday.
Add it onto Discord.
I will.
Oh man, but no.
But that's actually. Oh, sorry. Go.
No, go ahead, man. You're good. You're good.
That's something I want to see as well. More collector editions from games that are really worth buying. And
Yes.
If I look at Nintendo, I hope they will also give the Americans a chance of having cool collector editions, because, yeah, you guys are never lucky somehow if I compare it to Europe. But like, if I look at one of Final Fantasy VII, a Cyberpunk and Doom, they are so cool, and I hope really that they keep up with those kind of collected editions if you really want it.
I hope
Yeah.
that Metroid Prime 4 has like a collector's edition.
Oh,
that is like
Can you-
amazing.
You just gave me nightmares. Like,
Dude.
Europe is
Imagine-
gonna have an amazing collector's edition. Ours is gonna be like, here's a picture of Samus. Congratulations. Like,
Can you
damn.
imagine a large statue with Samus versus Ridley?
Oh,
I mean,
dude.
That would be a hell of a collector's edition.
I can't wait. Thanks, Rudy. Now I'm really wondering
Yeah,
what
right.
it will be.
But oh man, like the possibilities, there's so many. Oh man, I don't know. I would love to get like, and now I have Ridley and Samus in my head, like fighting it off on a statue. I can imagine it right now. Oh
Yeah,
dude.
have you've seen first four figures, right? You've seen those like that line of figures, first four figures. Have you heard of them?
Nope.
Look up
maybe I
first
did.
four figures. Ridley, Meta Ridley.
First
Meta
Oh.
Ridley.
Yeah, first four figures, like first then the number
What?
4. Yeah.
Dude, that is insane.
Yeah, the first 4 is known for high quality figures for the most part. They're not always the best, but they're pretty good. Dude,
Whoa, that one is amazing.
yeah, they're always limited. They always make them in super small quantities, and they're always pretty expensive. This one in particular, the Meta Ridley one, it's coming out this year, end of quarter 4. It's $600.
Jesus.
Damn.
But the motherfucker lights up, and it's huge. Like if you go to their actual website,
Yeah,
you'll
dude.
see the YouTube like thumbnail. Look how big that statue is.
Is that like
Yeah.
3 feet
That's like
from
that's
like
huge.
the foot to like the tip of the wing?
It's
It's
big.
amazing.
That's like, it has to be like a meter. And then there's like Samus on the side.
Yeah, it's 37 inches or 94 centimeters in height.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
Thank
that's
you for
big as
using the
fuck.
metric system as well.
Yeah, you're welcome. So yeah, I would love to get that, but 600 USD, man, that's money. That's a console.
Yeah.
That's a
So,
lot of
you
money.
know.
But those things I love though. It gives some. I don't know. That's it. Like you can keep it somewhere on your shelf, which is really on a beautiful place, of course. But I don't know. I love these things.
No, it's amazing. And the quality, like the detail, like if you look at all the pictures, like the dude has scratches on the armor that are each individually done. Like this isn't a mass-produced model. That's why it's $600. But
Yeah.
I would love to see something that's not $600 that I could, maybe buy. But, and they're only making 1,000 of them. That's it. Like what? Anyway. Okay.
I mean,
Sorry.
I get it. No, I mean, like one of the collector's editions I missed was the Breath of the Wild one, which has the Master Sword in its
Yeah.
rusted
Well,
kind of way in a pedestal.
you
I
guys
would
got that.
love that one as well.
Yeah,
we didn't get that, did
we
we?
didn't get that. No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We our collector's edition was kind of crap.
Yeah.
Again, like I have the second, not the legendary. I have the collector's edition because there was one that was like in the middle of it. That's the one that I have. That has like a big old box and stuff.
Yeah.
That's the one that I ended up getting with the Switch case and the map
I
and
see it.
stuff.
But
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
okay.
It's okay. It's very okay. I think it was the Master's Edition that came with the Master Sword.
Yeah.
And I believe, no, you know what? I think you're right. I think that also did come out in the States. Now that
Did
I think
it?
about it. I think so. Yeah,
I
the
don't
Master
know.
Edition.
Nintendo is sometimes nice.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Yeah.
Jesus, man.
yeah, it came out in the States. It was for 129.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
not bad. Man, I should have ordered that.
Yeah.
But then again, I got into the Switch like I think like a month and a half into it. Like I didn't buy
You
it.
didn't
day
buy it on
one.
day one?
No.
Oh.
You don't
Me
remember? Like
neither.
I was I got it for my flight to Poland, and to actually like play over there.
I remember
right.
that actually.
Yeah, like I went ahead and I played like non-stop Zelda Breath of the Wild for like an entire flight. My Switch almost died so many times. Thankfully, international flights have like an actual like outlet that you can plug in and
Yeah.
everything like that. But no, man. Honestly, looking into the future, I don't think that any company, and I'm just looking at PlayStation and Xbox, will be able to reiterate the innovation that the Switch has brought to the gaming field.
Right.
Being able to take that on the fly and just being able to play AAA titles on the go. At least in my case, like being able to play like full-fledged games on the go while I'm in Poland, while I'm traveling around and things like that. It's just, you can't replace that.
No,
can't
you
replace it
definitely
at all.
cannot.
I
That's
believe
right.
actually that what is his name? The boss of Platinum Games said something similar, where he said like from what he knew, he didn't see everything from PlayStation, Xbox. He actually mentioned in an article and an interview somewhere, like the change that the Switch brought to the gaming is not going to be the same what PlayStation and Xbox did, because they're probably going to be very similar to what they are now, just in much more beautiful graphics.
Yep, and that's kind of what I'm kind of like getting at is that the PS5 and the Xbox Series X is going to be exactly what we have right now, just better. That's it.
Yeah.
Whereas Nintendo is like, how can we go ahead and make games fun, make games accessible? We don't have to be the most powerful out there. I mean, dude, Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey within the same year, like, insane. And I, going back to like, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of going off topic in regards to this, but the Wii
We've been
U,
off topic for a while, man. You're good.
I know, but it's just like the Wii U era, and like Robin, I skipped the Wii almost entirely. I bought it like at the end of its cycle with Other M, and because I saw it and I was just like, dude, this is like a console for casuals. I'm not gonna lie to you, that's the way that I saw it, and then. Noob. I know I will fully take that title for that, but I saw it for that, and then for the Wii U I was like, what is this? This is just an addition to the Wii. That's the way that I saw it, because I didn't see it as another console. And then after that, after I guess I broadened my horizons and I actually saw the hype for the Switch, I was just like, holy crap, there's so much stuff here. And then as I noticed that more things were coming from the Wii U era to the Switch, I was just like, holy crap, I missed out on an amazing era. And I think it was when we were reacting to that presentation, Onyx, what was it, the Nintendo 2012?
Yeah.
With the Wonderful 101 presentation?
Yeah.
That's when I was just like, holy crap, that looks awesome. I want to play that. And I don't know, there's just like this mystique and this charm to it that I don't see next gen having in regards to PlayStation and Xbox. So I think
the changes that we will see is not what we as consumer will see. I think the developers will see a big change due to Unreal Engine 5, for example. Like development of games will probably maybe even go faster and easier. And maybe cross-media will be a bigger thing as well, because what I believe with Unreal 5 is that it's similar to what you can use as CGI with movies. At least that's what I understood.
Correct.
If that's the case, then I mean, you can easily make a movie and then maybe license a game for it and use the same things you made for that, and it's going to be so much easier. So I have hopes for next gen, mainly because of what can be, but I do not expect something crazy experimental.
Yeah, I agree. I think for the major console developers like Sony and Microsoft in particular, I don't believe that they're gonna try anything, like you said, experimental like Nintendo. Nintendo always has to change something. Like that's their thing, right? I don't think that's gonna happen in this case. Maybe we'll get like a more accessible VR, But besides that, like in terms of how you interact with the games, I don't see that happening for a while again. Nintendo will be the pioneer in that, as always. They did, with the Wii and motion controls. They had the Virtual Boy, if you want to take that for VR. And of course, 3D on the 3DS was another thing that was really innovative at the time, but hardly useful. So I don't know, but I do look forward to next gen. Next gen is going to be a very interesting time.
I agree. I agree.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a PlayStation 5 at some point. So
yeah, I'm with you on that. I've always leaned more towards Sony consoles anyway, just because of their exclusives. And now even more again with the fact that Game Pass is on PC and I can play their exclusives on day one. Like, all right, dude. Like, do I really need to buy an Xbox Series X? I don't know if I need to.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that's okay because I'm still playing the exclusives, and that's the reason why I would get it in the first place, to play the exclusives. So,
like Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
Oh my God, yes.
Oh yeah, amazing game still. Like, I'm really curious what their other studios will do, because I believe it was 2017 or 18 when Microsoft mentioned that they bought a lot of game studios. I'm really curious what kind of games will come out from that.
From all those purchases.
Yeah, I'm really curious.
I have no idea, but I mean, Hellblade 2 is one of them.
And it looks amazing.
Yeah, from a cinematic perspective, yeah, we haven't seen any gameplay yet, so we'll see if they can improve on that too.
Definitely, man.
But anyway, guys, I think this has been a fantastic podcast. I would love to do this again. Very, very fun to look to the past and look to the future. Robin, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
No problem.
Yeah, definitely, man. It was good times. That's for sure.
I mean, it's lovely to speak with people that have a similar mindset towards gaming and are enthusiastic about it. So I did it with a lot of love.
Absolutely. And
awesome.
you know, we're almost at the same age group, so I think that also helps, right? Yeah.
True.
Some people that are a little younger may not understand where gaming came from, and may not, they may see it as this like easy, accessible service. Where back then, it was such a different time.
It was.
Gaming back in the day was such a different time. But maybe we'll do an old gamer podcast one day. Just talk about how hard it was to play the games you wanted to play back then.
Oh, man. That's awesome.
Actually, to add on that still, it's funny when you talk to younger people when like they're 18 or 20 and they're like, oh, what's your favorite Mario? And they say New Super Mario Bros. And you're like, wait, what? Like, they're that young. Like, you're that young. No.
Like, oh, I grew up on Mario Odyssey. Like, wait, what the hell? How do you grow up on what? But I do think about that, right? Like, I have a son who's 9 years old, right? Rudy has a 4-year-old. And it's like, our kids, their Mario is going to be Odyssey. Right, like my son, he loves Odyssey, and that's gonna be the one where he's gonna look back and say, "Yo, I grew up with Mario Odyssey." Like, it's just kind of crazy to think that these companies that gave us childhood memories are also giving these kids childhood memories. And I wonder in 10, 20 years how Mario is gonna be in 20 years, how Zelda will be in 20 years. Like, what kind of games will we be playing then? Will we like putting the console literally into our eye, and that's how we play? Like, an implant? We'll see.
I am really curious about what the future will hold.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, we'll see what happens. I'm curious to see what innovation. I mean, without going too deep into it, VR seems to be the future in regards to that. But we'll see. Accessibility is another thing altogether. In tandem.
For VR, they need to figure out how to provide it in a more accessible and a more, honestly, the technology is new, so I get that it's going to be expensive, but once that drops, once it becomes more accessible, I think more people will be able to jump on that.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, thanks again for listening. If you are new to the podcast, welcome. We hope to do this a lot more often than once every 3 months. If you're a fan, thank you for sticking through. Always catch us on Discord. Robin is on there as well, so if you want to shoot him a message and ask him any question, if you're in PAL regions, hey, you got a buddy right over here. So
please do. I have no friends. No, I'm joking.
My friend is my Switch.
All
right, guys. Well, thanks so much for listening. Rudy, any final thoughts?
I don't know. Let's hopefully that we get a PS5 soon.
Yay!
Yeah,
same. Fourth, baby.
I mean, the controller is white, so the console is gonna be white, I guess.
We'll see. I guess. I don't know. But no, guys, thank you so much for watching or listening or whatever it is, whatever platform you're ingesting this in, and subscribe and whatnot. Like, comment, blah, 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 all that social media stuff. And yeah, man, it's going to be good times. Talk to us on Discord because we talk. So.
We do. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you later.
Deuces.
Hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to see more and stay up to date, subscribe, hit the little bell, and join our Discord.
If you want to support the channel, please check out our Patreon or hit the join button below. As always, thanks for your support and thanks for watching.